Good morning, Clear Lake peeps. Ross Ingham with Clear Lake Guide Service with your fishing report for April 15th. Ooh, that old dreaded tax day. April 15th, 2021. Gonna switch it up just a little bit today. You guys know that this is that week that we have a huge event going on the lake. They ended up with, I believe it was 232 boats signed up. They caught a bunch of fish. You know, the conditions are really different this year. I think the guys who were really looking for sight fish, it didn't happen. We had a lot of wind. I'm not going to say that people didn't catch fish sight fishing, but you can kind of see some names. Let's just call it what it is. When you have 230 some odd boats on the lake, it's going to be difficult no matter what you had figured out. It's going to be really difficult to pull it off, depending on your draw number, whether you're going to get on your spot or not, jumping around the lake. So hats off to all of them. Looking at the numbers, I think 27 pounds was leading it on day one. 7,440 some odd fish. 7,440 some odd pounds of fish were weighed in on day one. 2,100 and some odd fish, I calculated it out, it turned out to be a 3.5 pound average. That's why Clear Lake has the reputation that it has, is because it's just, people are complaining because they're getting 15 to 17 pound limits. I don't know a whole lot of fisheries that can produce like that. I kind of expect the weights to drop off a little bit as the week goes on, because you've got 2 more days of super heavy fishing pressure. But as I told you folks last report, we were going to get out Tuesday, which we did this week. Tuesday was a short day for the competitors. So we had an absolutely gorgeous afternoon with almost an empty lake. I changed up the format a little bit because I'm just so excited. We fished for about 7 hours and we hit the 40 fish mark. We were catching fish when we left. I expect that we could have, if we stayed out another couple hours, we probably would have been in the 50 to 60 fish range. It was going super well. Most of it was just kind of running around up in Lakeport and Nice, staying out of the wind where we could, and just throwing plastics. I mean, we weren't sight fishing because the weather wasn't, the water conditions weren't good enough to where we could really see. So we were just fishing in 3 to 5 feet of water, just slinging baits all over the place and getting bit just about everywhere that we went. So I think with the upcoming weather that we're looking at this next week, where the morning lows are going to be in the mid to high 40s and the afternoon highs in the 70s, there's actually a couple of days it looks like it's going to be 80 degrees. I think it's going to be really good. Look for the lake to really start busting open after this week is over. Well, officially, I can tell you I think the lake is busted open. It's just wait till this week gets over to where things kind of calm down and kind of relax a little bit. Real quickly, I'm going to show you what we've been doing all of our damage on over the past, we'll call it the past 3 weeks. The best bite for me consistently has been a jerk bait. Some people call them rip baits. These are, if they'll behave right for the camera, these are Lucky Craft Pointer 128s. It's been the best bite by far. It's not been a way to go out and catch big numbers of fish, but it's consistently produced. The 128, the way that we've been fishing it is just real slowly. Couple of pulls, let it sit. Couple of pulls, let it sit. Been keeping the boat out in 5 to 6 feet of water, and you just see the slack line just jump. I mean, it just, you're watching slack line sitting there, and then all of a sudden, wow, the line takes off. So that bite's been really good. I think that that bite is going to slow down a little bit as the weeds start to grow up, but I'm still hoping to maybe get another week or two out of that bite. The probably just real quickly, the other baits that we've used in the same areas are either a little underspin or a little Keitech with no underspin. Both have worked well in covering additional water. The other little swim bait that we've been throwing, which you can't buy anymore, but it's more to show you size, is this is an old River to Sea called the Bottom Walker, and it's about a 4.5 inch long bait, weighs 5/8 ounce. You could be throwing the little trash fish on a head and probably get the same action. I've seen a number of people over the last 3 or 4 days that we were out on the water catching fish on a trash fish. They're all complaining about 2.5 pounders. It's such a hard problem to have. And then finally, probably the best all-around bait for no matter what depth we were fishing, whether it was 3 feet or 15 to 18 feet, is just the old shaky head. Never fails for us. Things to look for in the coming weeks is the number one thing that probably is going to get the most action over the next couple weeks, actually probably the next month, is going to be a 5 or 6 inch Senko rigged, Texas rig. I don't throw them a lot because it seems like unless you're really on top of it, what ends up happening is you get a lot of deeply hooked fish, and it's a tough bait to throw. It's an easy bait to fish, but it's a tough bait to throw because you end up with a lot of gut hooked fish. If you're really on top of your fishing and you know what a bite feels like, it's not as bad, but a lot of times that's what I see or end up seeing. So that kind of covers at least what we've been doing and what we'll probably keep doing. I'm looking for next week to hopefully be a really good week of sight fishing if the wind would just quit blowing. So let's jump into activities for today, which is Thursday. Friday, we still have the WON Bass event going on. Saturday we have a BBT going on, and then Sunday's a day off. Then next week there's nothing really significant going on. It's kind of a little bit of a break, so that's a good thing. The current conditions, water temp that we found was anywhere from 61 to 65 degrees depending on where we were. The water clarity ranged anywhere from about 5 feet down at mid-lake to as little as a foot up on the upper end of the lake. One thing that we're dealing with the low lake level is any kind of wind at all, and the lake starts to muddy up pretty good. So lake level is at 1.1. It dropped a little bit. They're letting out a very small amount out of the dam. It was like 5 CFM, something like that. I mean, it's a really low amount, but they are letting a little bit out. So let's see, we got water conditions. We got I think we covered it all. So if you have any questions, go ahead and send them to me. You know, I'll always respond to you. If there's any specifics on any of these baits that we talked about. Going back to the rip baits real quick, I only have about 9 colors of that bait, and it really didn't make any difference. We caught fish on all of them. It was more how you work the bait, I think, than necessarily the color. So don't get hung up on that. And we also caught a couple of fish on the Pointer 100 too. So, you know, you can throw probably any of those baits. I just particularly was targeting those baits because on braid, 20-pound braid, we could pretty consistently stay in 4 to 5.5 feet of water, and we still didn't hit the bottom. So there's your report for today. A little bit different, a little bit disjointed. I look forward to getting a report out next week on the water. So thanks. We'll see you all next week.